Yo, brother, it's time for us to start talking the real, man. We've been sugarcoating too much. We've got to start calling everything out for what it is.
Hey guys, I'm here with my S22. I'm loving this wheel so far. 0 issues, and I've been giving it some tough love recently on some trail riding up in the mountains. No problems. But I am experiencing one problem that I have a feeling most of all you S22 owners are also experiencing that, and that is the inability to get a full charge on the wheel, which is attributed to this charger that KingSong is shipping with the wheel. Now that I plug in, I charge the wheel. Eventually the charger turns green, shuts off, everything looks good, says it's 100% charged. But KingSong has provided us with a BMS and associated app which lets us look at each individual cell in this wheel, which is fantastic. So we have really good insight into what's going on. And if you look at that in your app, if you have this issue, you'll see that after fully charged, you're not at 126 volts. And if you look at each individual cell, you're not at the 4.2 volts that you should be. Now, some people like to charge their wheels to 80-90%. They don't believe in fully charging the wheels because they want to extend the life of their battery packs so that they can be riding a wheel 10-20 years from now. Frankly, I'll be disappointed in myself if I'm still riding this wheel in 3 years, because I'd much rather be riding the state-of-the-art wheel at that time. But even if you're one of those people, you know that periodically you still need to charge to 100%. And that's so that the BMS can fully balance all the cells in the battery pack at the 4.2 volt level. And that's also very good for the health of the batteries. And I always charge my wheels to 100% every time I charge. So the issue is that this charger doesn't put out 126 volts. Now I know KingSong can do no wrong. They're the best DUC company out there. But for some reason they've chosen to deliver chargers that they don't properly calibrate at the factory to output the correct voltage, which just seems unbelievable to me. Now my cells are down by 0.05 volts approximately each cell, which doesn't sound like much, right, from 4.2 volts. But when you add up all those voltages, I get about 124.5 volts, roughly, to maybe 125 volts, somewhere in that range. So I'm missing a full volt. So not only is it not balancing the battery pack when you fully charge it, I'm losing 1 volt of range. And you know me, I like my long rides. And every once in a while, that missing 1 volt, I'm sure would come in very handy. The fix for this will be to adjust the output of this charger so that we get a little over 126 volts into this wheel. Unfortunately, these chargers are adjustable via a little potentiometer inside here. Now, typically to do this, you would have to have a multimeter. You would connect that to the output of the charger, and you'd adjust the potentiometer to get that correct voltage. It's kind of problematic because most people don't have multimeters, maybe feel uncomfortable measuring live voltages. But we have a wheel that KingSong has given us, a smart BMS and an app that lets us see into what the BMS is doing, so we can use the S22 as the measuring device. Now this tip comes from Roger, a local rider. Thanks again, Roger, for this awesome tip. Roger is a crazy guy on the wheels. One of the best riders I know, Southern California. He's I guess I would say a triple black diamond trail rider. So much better than me, better than most riders I know, and very helpful to the local EUC community here. So thanks again, Roger. Now he has actually not done what I'm going to demonstrate with the stock charger. He's done it with one of his fast chargers, and I have not done this before either. So I'm going to take you along with me as I do this, and we'll see the final outcome. Now, all you're going to need really is your S22, the charger, and 2 screwdrivers and some patience. I'm going to do everything with the wheel sitting on my workbench with the charger here, and the charger is going to be left plugged into the wheel for the full duration. Now, by the way, can I take just a moment to comment on the stupidity of this design from KingSong? The location of these charge ports has to be the worst that I've ever experienced in the 6 years and 25 to 30 wheels that I've owned. It's awful. You have to raise the trolley handle, you have to snake your hand in here, and the wheel is usually on the ground. You've got 3 cables that you feel you have to get your hand around. Difficult to get to the cap to pull off the cap, and then to locate the charging cable. It's so horrible. All right, got that off my chest. So the cable will be left charged, plugged in the wheel. You can turn the wheel on and off in this configuration, and it won't affect anything. And anytime I am doing anything inside this charger, it's going to be unplugged, and I will always wait for these lights to eventually fade. It takes 10-15 seconds for these lights to eventually fade away, and at that point there shouldn't be any high voltage inside the charger. Now, before we do any of this, you want to charge your wheel fully so that the charger turns green and everything looks good, which I've done. So I'm going to turn on my wheel now, and we'll connect up. And let's go to the BMS info page. Wait a moment. So my wheel is fully charged, and you'll see I'm at 124.5 volts. And then when we scroll down here and look at the individual battery cells, 4.15. So they're all about 0.05 volts low. So that's the first thing you do. First thing that you want to do. Obviously, if you're at 126 volts, you can stop watching this video. But otherwise, get a sense of where you're at in the voltage on your wheel. Okay, so now that we have this data, we can turn the wheel off. And let's open up the charger. Remember, unplug the charger. And now with a Phillips screwdriver, you are going to remove the 4 screws on each side of the charger. And I'm going to rotate this around. I have to work around this camera, but by the way, I'm using a plastic handled screwdriver. There shouldn't be any high voltages in this at this point, but still, I'd go with the plastic handled screwdriver. And this device right here is the potentiometer. It's the only adjustable component in this charger. And also, before you make any adjustments, what I would do is take a picture, which I've done, so you know where you were before you made any adjustments, so you can go back. Now, I'm anticipating making tiny adjustments. You're not going to like turn this 360 degrees. You can go small to begin with. So I'm going to turn it about like that. Maybe, hard to say, 1/16 of a turn maybe. And by the way, mine has a little bit of I don't know, some kind of a goop, not much. I've seen some others have more goop, so you might have to scrape away some stuff to be able to make that adjustment like I just did. And that's it for the first adjustment. Let's go from there. A reminder, my wheel, the charger is still plugged into the wheel. Charger's unplugged. Now, presumably, we have increased the output voltage of this charger a little bit. I don't know how much. Hopefully, just a little. So I'm going to plug this in. And we'll see what happens. Okay, it's charging. Now, again, I'd fully charged before this, so the fan wasn't working and it had a green light. So I think we've put out a higher voltage, so now the wheel can charge the batteries a bit more. And gonna wait for this to turn off again, and then we'll connect up the app to the wheel and measure the voltages. See you in a bit. All right, well, actually, that wasn't very long. The charger turned off after about a minute, but I reconnected the wheel. Looks like the colors in some of my cells have changed. They're definitely a little bit higher, but obviously the charger wasn't on very long. So I'm going to unplug the charger again. And I'm going to turn that another 1/16 or so. And let's plug this in again. I think I need to turn off the wheel first before the charger will attempt to do anything. And I'll unplug it. Plugged it back into the wheel. Okay, I'm gonna unplug it again. Unplug it from the wheel. I just want to get the charger to turn back on. Okay. Plug it back into the wheel. Plug the charger in. And nothing is happening. Now what this could mean, that is actually I'm turning the potentiometer in the wrong direction. I could be lowering the voltage. Yeah, nothing's happening. I'm gonna see, turn the wheel off, unplug, and I'm gonna turn the potentiometer the other direction. So that's about a 1/16 of an inch opposite of the original starting position. So let's plug this in again. I have a feeling that's saying something is wrong. The wheel doesn't like it. The wheel's turning on. Yeah. Okay. So let's move this potentiometer back. Instead of filming all this, you can see the sequence I'm going to be doing. I'm just going to be tweaking that potentiometer a little bit here and there and see if I can get this to start charging more. Be back in a minute. All right, guys. Well, sorry I wasn't able to show everything I did. Basically, it was twisting that pot back and forth to get the right value, which would have been a really long video. But look at where I'm finally at. So 125.76 volts on the first BMS of the battery pack, 126.3 volts. I'm over 126 volts on average when I look at this through my riding app, EUC World. If I look at the voltages, you see much closer to 4.2. If I go to BMS 2, lots of 4.2s, a little above. So I think this is a success. And let me show you how much I changed the pot. So turns out that the amount that I had to change the pot, now changing the pot clockwise increases voltage. So you definitely want to turn it clockwise. And the amount that we're talking about is about a minute hand movement on the clock. So about 1 minute's worth of movement maximum. So if you turn that potentiometer 1/8 of a turn either way, the charger will start blinking, wheel will turn off, doesn't like it. So we're talking about just a little tiny bit of movement to get that higher voltage. All right, guys, well, that is about it. Let me summarize again the procedure. Open up your charger when it's unplugged. Again, don't make any adjustments. Don't poke any tools in here when the charger is plugged in. Unplug it and wait for the status LEDs to turn off. You're going to adjust that pot clockwise to increase the voltage, and the amount of movement on that turning that potentiometer will be about the same amount of movement that the minute hand moves on a clock for 1 minute. Very small movement. If you move much more than that, clockwise or counterclockwise, these LEDs will start pinging back and forth, and you'll get some status error messages. So it's just a very slight turn. And you do that, plug it in, charger should start charging up again. And you can do that a couple times to find the sweet spot. I'm happy. My wheel now is showing a little over 126 volts fully charged. I haven't seen that yet on this wheel. Again, these are all values being returned to us via the apps and the software coming out of the wheel. Don't know how accurate they are, but it's all we have to go on. I'm happy. I'm going to leave it as is, and I'm just going to ride my wheel and enjoy it, and I'll sleep good at night. So I hope this video was useful, and until next time, safe riding.